Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki Jai.
Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishkam Vidam Scha Om Jnana Timirandasha Jnanachana Shalakya Chakshurun Milidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Gurganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govindabidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Nawe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchandavanam Balarka Chilanshitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Banditam Shubhadam Marika Sharanam Nyashishwara Sridharam Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindubhyevaja Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratameshe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat by Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur. This is with translation by Sarva Bhavana Das. And this is Madhya-khanda, chapter 17. The glories of the devotees. All glory to Lord Gaurasundara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All glory to Lord Nityananda, the embodiment of the highest mood of devotional service. In the Madhya-khanda, the narrations of the pastimes of the Supreme Lord are a cascade of nectar that can wash away the contaminations of one's faithlessness. Lord Chaitanya continued his non-stop kirtans, and even then, his abstruse identity remained undisclosed in the common man. When he went about the town, the people were stunned by his exquisite looks. They thought that he might be Cupid. However, some people also thought that his demeanor was arrogant. The atheists and logicians felt that he paid little attention and respect to the scholars holding titles. He walked about in a carefree manner, and when out, he associated mostly with his devotees. The atheist would say to Lord Chaitanya, "O Nimai Pandit, as your friends, we advise you to be careful because the king might summon you to his court any day now. The people do not see you, but hear your night-long kirtans, and this disturbs their sleep. They curse you and send reports against you, and naturally the king believes the people." Lord Chaitanya replied, "Let it be so. Let your words become true. It has been my wish to see the king. I have studied all the scriptures since childhood, yet no one inquires from me on any subject, considering me too young and immature. I do not usually meet anyone who actually wants to meet me. Therefore, if someone wants to have audience with me, I am indeed pleased." The atheist sarcastically continued, "The king is a Muslim. He will not engage himself in a scriptural debate. He will want to just hear your kirtan." The Lord then ignored them and went home. The Lord said to his devotees, "Let us perform kirtan. I feel discontent because I have spoken to atheists today." The Lord of Vaikuntha, Nimai Pandit, began to dance, and all his associates danced around him. Suddenly, stopping everything, Lord Chaitanya spoke hesitatingly. "Oh, my dear brothers, today everything I do lacks loving ecstasy. Perhaps because I have spoken to atheists, or maybe I have offended you, in which case, kindly forgive me and resuscitate my withering soul." The greatly pleased Advaitacharya also was plainly grimacing as he danced. He said, "How will you feel ecstasy, Nada? How will you feel ecstasy? Nada has drained it all from you. Neither Srivas Pandit nor I can advise this Krishna prema. However, low-class millers and gardeners are relishing the exchange of devotional love with you. So Nada is named for Advaitacharya. So Advaitacharya, he says, how will you feel ecstasy? Nada has drained it all from you, meaning talking about himself. That because Mahaprabhu would always respect him, and he felt that was taking Mahaprabhu's energy. Neither Srivas Pandit nor I can achieve this Krishna Prema. However, low-class millers and gardeners are relishing the exchange of devotional love with you. So he's saying everybody is getting some happiness from the kirtans. Moreover, even Avadut Nityananda is a recipient of your love, but not Srivas Pandit or me. We have been downgraded and made non-eligible for your love, but the Avadut has come from nowhere and become the in charge of the storehouse of Krishna Prem. Listen to me, my Lord. If you do not give me this Krishna Prem, then I shall draw out from you all the love you possess. Who will blame me for this? Advaitacharya is always intoxicated with love for Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, he is unmindful of what he says or does. He is most expert at increasing the fame and glory of Krishna's devotees, and he is a property of the Vaishnavas. They can sell and distribute him wherever they wish. Such is the degree of his surrender to the Vaishnava devotees. Similarly, Advaita's words to Lord Chaitanya are not surprising to hear, for he is a devotee of such stature that he can control, distribute, and sell even Krishna by his loving devotion. So, he is a devotee of such stature that he can control, distribute, and sell even Krishna by his loving devotion. Lord Chaitanya arranges so many ways for his devotees to advance in spiritual life. Who can understand his mercy and ways of chastising? The Lord felt empty within, devoid of Krishna Prem, and Advaitacharya clapped his hands and danced. Lord Vishwambar heard the words of Advaitacharya, but did not reply. Right then he left the house, closing the door behind him. Nityananda and Haridas Thakur hurried after him. The Lord was brooding, considering himself devoid of Krishna Prema, and thereby the maintenance of his body he thought useless. Accordingly, he plunged into the waters of the Ganga. Nityananda and Haridas Thakur almost simultaneously jumped into the water. Swimming swiftly, Nityananda caught the Lord by his hair, and Haridas firmly gripped his feet. They brought Vishwambar to the safety of the riverbank. The Lord inquired of them, "Why did you capture me? What is the necessity of prolonging this lifeless soul who has no love of Krishna? You have committed a mistake." Both Nityananda and Haridas were shaking in fearful anticipation of what might occur next. Gaurachandra, looking at Nityananda, said, "Why did you catch me by my hair?" Nityananda replied, "Why were you trying to finish yourself?" Lord Chaitanya said, "I know you are always engrossed in love of Krishna." Nityananda replied, "O Lord, please forgive everything. The person who nearly perished is the person for whom you are trying to sacrifice your life. Your devotees have spoken to you harshly out of loving insolence, and on those grounds must you leave us? You who art the most precious life of your servitors, always relishing Lord Chaitanya's love." Nityananda spoke with an endearing voice, full of affection and love. Tears filled his eyes, for Chaitanya means everything to Nityananda. The Lord said, "Listen carefully, Nityananda and Haridas. Do not disclose to anyone that you have seen me. If anyone inquires, tell them you know nothing of my whereabouts. I will remain here in hiding. If you do not follow what I say, then I am not responsible for the consequences. The Lord then went to Nandan Acharya's house. Being bound by the Lord's order, Nityananda and Haridas did not reveal any of these facts to anyone. The devotees entered a state of painful shock and took shelter in Lord Krishna when they did not receive any news of the Lord. They were torn apart by separation from their Lord. Their hearts and minds were burning up. The devotees felt thunderstruck, especially Advaitacharya, who was ravaged by a tremendous sense of guilt. Feeling intense separation from the Lord, he went home and began to fast, not hearing his own name. The other devotees also went back to their homes. Their hours darkened by deep sorrow, but ensconced within their hearts was their only treasure, the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord entered Nandan Acharya's house and sat on the throne of Sri Vishnu. Nandan Acharya felt that his house was now most blessed by the Lord's presence. He fell flat on the ground to offer obeisance to the Lord. He immediately brought fresh new clothes to the Lord, and Lord Chaitanya changed out of his wet clothes into the new ones. Nandan Acharya then decorated the Lord with the flower garlands of the deities, sandalwood paste, scented oils, and brought him chewing betel and camphor. The Lord enjoyed these offerings made by his pure devotee in loving surrender and forgot his aching heart. The Lord said, O Nandan Acharya, please hear me. I want you to hide me here. Nandan replied, My dear Lord, that is almost an impossible task. Where in this entire creation can you hide? You could not remain hiding within the hearts of the devotees. My dear Lord, that is almost the Lord said, O Nandan Acharya, kindly hear me. I want you to hide me here. Nandan replied, My dear Lord, that is almost an impossible task. Where in this entire creation can you hide? You could not remain hiding within the hearts of the living entities, but were made to appear in person by your pure devotees. One who could not successfully hide lying in the middle of the vast milk ocean, how can he hide in the middle of this congested human inhabitation? Lord Chaitanya smiled, appreciating Nandan Acharya's words, and passed the night in his house. Nandan was indeed very pious and fortunate. He conversed with the Lord the whole night long with the greatest of pleasure, divining topics of Lord Krishna and his pastimes. As if in a short moment, the night was gone, and as the Lord looked out, he saw the first faint light peeping through. At first, the Lord, in his mind, was chastising Advaitacharya, but later he felt very compassionate toward him. Lord Chaitanya instructed Nandan Acharya, bring Srivas Pandit here alone. Nandan left immediately for Srivas Pandit's house and brought him to the Lord's presence. Srivas Pandit broke down into tears of love as soon as he saw Lord Chaitanya. The Lord spoke to him ever so kindly. Do not worry anymore. Now tell me, how are the devotees, and in particular Advaitacharya? At first, the Lord in his mind was chastising Advaitacharya, but later he felt very compassionate toward him. Lord Chaitanya instructed Nandan Acharya, bring Srivas Pandit here alone. Nandan left immediately for Srivas Pandit's house and brought him to the Lord's presence. Srivas Pandit broke down into tears of love As soon as he saw Lord Chaitanya, the Lord spoke to him ever so kindly. Do not worry anymore. Now tell me, how are the devotees, and in particular Advaitacharya? Srivas Pandit described the critical condition of the devotees and said, there is more news. Advaitacharya is fasting since yesterday and is somehow still alive. Only his body remains. He is exceedingly afflicted. Be merciful to him, my Lord, and appear before him in person. If this concerns someone other than Advaita, I would not feel responsible, but I know that you mean everything to him. Without you, my Lord, our lives are dark and gloomy. That is the reason why we are suffering such excruciating pain and separation. Your leaving us is more than enough of a harsh chastisement. So now kindly return and give us your mercy. Hearing Srivas's words, Chaitanya felt supremely compassionate and left to see Advaita. Upon arriving, the Lord saw Advaita in a state of most abysmal gloom, thinking himself the worst offender. Advaita felt he had become overly proud by receiving the Lord's special grace. Now he was shaking all over his body. From this punishment by Lord Chaitanya. Advaita's pitiable condition softened the Lord's heart, and he spoke benignly. O Advaitacharya, get up and see me. Vishwambara has come to see you. Feeling ashamed, Advaita remained silent. In intense love for the Lord, he just meditated upon his lotus feet. Again, Chaitanya addressed him. Rise up, Advaita, discard your mood of discontentment, and go about in your normal condition. Advaitacharya replied, O Lord, you caused me to behave incorrectly. All that you speak about me is surely superfluous praise. This turns my head and boosts up my pride, leading me to the path of hell. You have allowed every other devotee to develop a healthy mood of servitorship to you, but to me you show your reverence. I then act badly, mistaking my position, after which you mete out chastisement accordingly. You may say that I am your servant, but in your mind you harbor other ideas. You are my life treasure, body, mind. You are everything to me, yet you cause me pain. That is, of course, the prerogative of your supreme position. So, in the beginning we heard Advaita expressing seeming disrespectful words to Mahaprabhu, but what Advaita was saying is, you regard me as superior with so much reverence, and this causes much problems for me, because he was saying, Mahaprabhu was saying, I don't feel ecstasy today, and then Advaitacharya said, Nada has drained all this from you. Nada, of course, is his own, refers to himself, and he's saying, this has all been drained from you by the unnecessary respect that you show to me. That's what he was saying. I'll continue. My dear Lord, this is Advaitacharya speaking. My dear Lord, I just pray to you for one thing. Kindly allow me to serve you as your eternal servant, and give me shelter at your lotus feet as you would to a maidservant's son. In front of the assembly of Vaishnavas, Gaurasundara then spoke to Advaitacharya. Listen, Advaita, I will reveal to you an esoteric truth. Let me cite you an example that will clarify my point. When a highly placed and trusted officer of the realm has access to audience with the king, then all the guards and servants approach him with their problems, wishing them to be placed before the king. The officer carefully performs his duty and may also collect and disperse necessary remunerations from the king for such guards and servants. These monies are very important for the guards and servants, for they help to sustain their many families. However, if such a trusted officer commits a grievous offense, then the king's order for his death will not put the guards and servants into anxiety for their own sustenance. On one hand, as a mark of appreciation of his loyalty, the officer was entrusted with important duties Now, nevertheless, the same person may be executed for serious offenses. Similarly, Lord Krishna is the emperor of all kings and emperors. He is the master of both Brahma, the creator of the universe, and Shiva, the annihilator of the creation. The Lord has bestowed upon all their individual potency, whether it be creation, annihilation, or anything else. No one dare raise objections if the Lord wants to punish any particular individual. Even Rama, Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, who is the eternal consort of Lord Narayan, is sometimes punished, and even Lord Brahma and the other demigods are not spared his punishment. However, the Lord is always prepared to forgive the offenses of his devotees. When Lord Krishna sees anyone committing an offense and actually punishes him, then know for certain that that person will become his eternal servant. So get up, bathe, and complete your daily worship, then eat and stop worrying. Advaitacharya became elated. The servant became jubilant, hearing the punishment of his master. Advaita said, "Now I can tell you, you are my Lord and Master." He began to dance, clapping his hands. He was overwhelmed with joy, being reassured of the Lord's shelter, and forgot his previous sorrows. The devotees became very happy. Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas began laughing. Those who are unfortunate are deprived of relishing this nectarian pastime of the Lord. Advaitacharya is Lord Chaitanya's eternal servitor, and anyone who considers Advaita's spiritual wealth and position as the Lord's servant to be meager and low is in great illusion. The significance and standing of a servant of the Supreme Lord should never be diminished, because the Lord never elevates anyone to the position of his servitor unless that person has sufficient spiritual realization to attain that transcendental platform. A person must first attain liberation, then breaking the bonds of the materialistic conception of life. Only then does he become eligible to be a servitor of Lord Krishna. The great acharyas who worship the Supreme Lord Krishna and describe his transcendental pastimes have carefully delineated this topic in their commentaries of the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic works. Pure devotees of Krishna are all invested with his spiritual potency. However, if one amongst them commits any offenses, Krishna may mercifully punish him to rectify him. Devotees who are narrow-minded and bigoted start fighting over petty matters. This is a serious deviation from the path of spiritual realization, and so a properly knowledgeable devotee will refrain from taking sides in such disputes. Pure devotion is possessed by anyone who has no doubt that Gaurachandra is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Others who doubt Gaurachandra's supreme position are faithless. Their devotion is impure and will ultimately lead them to degradation. Such faithless persons sometimes play the part of a guru collecting disciples. Such faithless persons sometimes play the part of a guru collecting disciples, who then have the intelligence of asses and foxes. Okay, so it's like guru, but the word here used is goru, which means cows and asses. So faithless persons sometimes play the part of a guru, collecting disciples who themselves have the intelligence of asses and foxes. These gurus, cows and asses, instruct their disciples to think that their guru is equivalent to the Supreme Lord himself. Those who possess the power to create, maintain, and annihilate this material cosmos, are certainly not greater than the pure devotees of Lord Chaitanya. One of the best examples is Lord Balaram. Although he is the support of the entire cosmic creation, still his greatest perfection lies in his pure devotion to Lord Chaitanya. All glory to Nityananda, Haladar, by whose mercy one is able to glorify Sri Chaitanya. Only he can bless one to develop attachment for Sri Chaitanya. I am narrating all these pastimes only by his mercy. I am narrating all these pastimes only by his potency. One thought I always cherish in my mind is that my Lord and Master Nityananda Prabhu is the servant of Sri Chaitanya. Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda Prabhu are my life and soul. I, Vrindaban Das, humbly offer this song at their lotus feet. So that's the end of the 17th chapter, which has the title, The Glories of the Devotees. Okay, now we'll sing Hari Harai. You can still understand what's being presented in this chapter. I can understand it, but sometimes the translation is it's not conveying everything in English because when something is translated, the important thing is the language in which it's being translated into. It's not so much, the problem is not so much understanding the original language. The person has to know the language well in which it's being translated to. So the important thing is not just being able to understand the Bengali, which I'm sure the author can, but the work is going into English, so the author has to be able to understand and present things in English. So generally I'm reading this, and I like this translation because I think Sarvabhavana Das, he presents the English well, but there are some times when the English is not so clear because it's not his native language. But I met him, I've talked with him. I feel this translation is pretty good. But there are some things in this chapter that could have been clear. All right. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama. Jaravaya Maravaya Keshavaya Nama. Jaravaya Maravaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Mananaman. Giridhari Gopinatha Mananaman. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Janardan Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Janardan Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasa Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasa Raghunath. Jai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jai Te Vignana Shamishta Puran. Jai Te Vignana Shamishta Puran. Jai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas. Jai Gosai Jarmoi Kanadas Dasava Para Renu Mora Panchagras Dasava Para Renu Mora Panchagras Tadir Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas Janame Janame More Abhilas Janame More Abhilas Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naradamoda Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naradamoda Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naradamoda Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naradamoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Acharya Ashtatara Sadashi Srimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Acharya Ashtatara Sadashi Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakakshira Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath, Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Prem Sigo Shri Krishna, Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi, Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Bhagawat Ki Jai, Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Vishvavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Shri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai, Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Shri Koladvip Ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Vrindaban Dham Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Shyam Guna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.